What if I told you that Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute at all? And what if I told you that Jesus loved her more than anyone else in the world? She is one of the most hated women in history, and the reason for that is not what you think. This is the story of Mary Magdalene, the woman who betrayed Jesus. You've probably heard this story before, but this time we're going to explore a different perspective. The Bible tells us that Mary Magdalene was a former prostitute who had 7 demons cast out of her by Jesus. But this is where the story takes a turn. After her encounter with Jesus, she becomes his disciple and follows him everywhere. She witnesses his death on the cross and is the first person to see him after he has risen from the dead. Yet despite all this, she is remembered as the woman who betrayed him. But why is she so hated? To understand why Mary Magdalene is so hated, we must first look at the historical context of her story. She lived in a time when women were seen as property and had no rights. They were often forced into marriage and were beaten if they didn't obey their husbands. Mary Magdalene was no different. She was married to a man named Levi, but she soon realized that he was a gambler and a liar. He would beat her whenever he lost money, and she was terrified of him. One day, Mary Magdalene met Jesus, and he told her that he could help her. He offered her a choice: stay with her abusive husband or follow him and become one of his disciples. This is where things get interesting. Mary Magdalene chose to leave her husband and follow Jesus. This was not an easy decision, as she was giving up everything she knew and loved to follow a man who was considered a threat by the religious leaders. When Mary Magdalene left her husband, she became a disciple of Jesus. She traveled with him and his 12 apostles and learned from him how to heal the sick and cast out demons. She also witnessed many miracles, such as the feeding of the 5,000 and the resurrection of Lazarus. But despite all this, she is remembered as the woman who betrayed him. So how did this happen? To understand how Mary Magdalene became the woman who betrayed Jesus, we must first look at what was happening in her life at the time. She was under a lot of pressure to conform to the expectations of society, and she felt like she was failing. She was also struggling with her faith and was questioning whether Jesus was really who he said he was. It was during this time that Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' 12 disciples, approached Mary Magdalene and offered her money to betray Jesus. He promised her that if she helped him, he would make sure that she would never have to worry about money again. And so Mary Magdalene agreed. She led the soldiers to Jesus and identified him to them, and they arrested him and took him away. But after Jesus was arrested, Mary Magdalene began to regret what she had done. She realized that she had betrayed the one person who had given her hope and showed her that there was more to life than just following the rules. She also realized that she had been wrong about Jesus. He wasn't a threat, and he wasn't a liar. He was everything he said he was. Mary Magdalene's story is one of strength, courage, and redemption. Despite the difficult circumstances she faced, she chose to follow her heart and believe in Jesus. Even though she made mistakes, she never gave up on trying to be a good person. We can learn from her example to be brave, to never lose faith, and to always strive to be better. Have you ever struggled with making the right decision? Do you feel like you're being judged by others? Do you feel like you're not good enough? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this story is for you. Mary Magdalene was a strong woman who faced many challenges in her life. She had to choose between staying in an abusive marriage or following her heart and becoming a disciple of Jesus. She also had to deal with the pressure of conforming to society's expectations and the temptation of money. Despite all this, she remained true to herself and never gave up on her beliefs. Mary Magdalene's story teaches us that we should never give up on ourselves. No matter how difficult our circumstances may seem, we should always strive to be better and never lose faith. We should be brave enough to follow our hearts and true to ourselves, no matter what others may think. We should never let go of hope, even when things look their darkest. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story of Mary Magdalene, and I encourage you to share it with others. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when new stories are posted. Until next time, take care and remember to always stay curious.